All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here again, talking real music in real time for real people just like you, just like me. Today we're gonna, get into the free speech stuff, Elon Musk buying Twitter, and rock stars react. One in particular who's been a real pain in the butt for the past 2+ years. I want to show you this album by this band, Fate. People send me stuff, and this is called Follow No One. And people are sending me stuff that dovetails or coincides with my black-pilled political beliefs today, along with, some interesting music. This is what I would consider progressive rock, but it's hard to throw into a category. Just wanted to give these guys a bit of a plug because I really liked it. I heard it. And I said, hey, I'd love to feature it in a video. So there you have it, Fate. And they're giving good advice. Follow no one, right? That's how I feel these days. So it's kind of an interesting concept. Simmons, again, who is an elitist, who is a rich person who doesn't really understand what the working class is anymore. Maybe he did at one time. And he certainly doesn't understand the concept of free speech. All of these people are going out of their mind. I got several messages that Elon Musk buys Twitter, and all of these people who want to limit free speech are going out of their mind. Because when the truth gets out, and people are informed, like I've been talking about informed consent for 2+ years, then you can make a good decision. If you don't know the full truth, it could cost you your life. It could cost you your life. Now, their big thing, and this has been going on now for about almost 20 years, this concept of hate speech. Hate speech is really anything that these people find detestable because it will run hard against their narrative. Now, there is some legitimate speech, right, where you could call somebody a name, you could throw a racial slur out there at somebody. Guess what? As bad as that is, it's still protected speech under the First Amendment. Now, if you want to get rid of the First Amendment, then have at it, right? The concept of just a free flow of information and people who may express themselves on the internet or in public or wherever, that idea has come under attack as they want people to think the same way about a topic. Ukraine, for instance, they want you to think a certain thing about Ukraine. And I can tell you it's 180 degrees different in that country, based on what I've seen, based on the sort of haphazard, nonsensical reporting that spins a narrative here in the United States. And then when you find out what's actually happening on the ground there, you're being misinformed, you're being misled, you're being gaslit, you're being told that this is the way to think about this. And these are the good guys and these are the bad guys, and just trust us. Same thing with your health. For the past 2 years, people have been making all these claims, and then they're running out of road at the end of it all as to what this actually does as a benefit. At the very end of it, you're still getting people who are canceling concerts, right? I read a couple days ago somebody had to postpone dates. And of course, those are the people who went into the CVS nearby or the Walgreens and did the thing for the thing, blah, blah, blah. But we're told all the time, hey, this will just, negate the problem. And you can go on and live a happy, great life, except the fact that you're going to have to do it again and again and again and again and again. And if anybody thinks you can do that and improve your overall health, then I've got a bridge to sell you, okay, that will go from Nevada to the ocean. I don't know. It's just, it doesn't make sense. So Gene Simmons, of course, has been losing intellectual, I don't know, capabilities, at least in my estimation, in my humble opinion now, for the past 2 years, relentlessly attacking people who disagree with him, trying to browbeat them all into thinking like he does. And I'll tell you, it hasn't been good for his brand. I'm sorry. I know there are enough people who want to go see the greatest show on earth, blah, 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 the pyrotechnics, the fireworks, the costumes, because nobody can do what Gene does, according to Gene. Can't walk around in that costume for 2 hours, because most people would just pass out and die, according to Gene, or maybe not die, but he said this the other day, and I just kind of laughed at it. I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure, Gene, there are people that do similar things for a living, right? Who don't boast on the fact that they're the only ones who can do this. So, of course, Simmons decided to tweet. He does say fantastic news at the outset. Right at the beginning, he's about to deviate here. He knows Elon Musk is one of the most, here's the difference between Elon Musk and the other oligarchs, right? All the other oligarchs think the same way about this topic. They just think, yeah, we need to control these people. We need to control them. We can't let them see underneath the curtain. So Elon Musk says, and by the way, do I trust Elon Musk 100%? No. This is a guy who wants to do Neuralink and basically has said that, it's going to be impossible for people to avoid artificial intelligence, and has hinted around about transhumanism. He has said some things that we need to, be able to control this. However, I don't know. Do I trust him? To me, he's almost like an antichrist character, because he's coming along and people are like, oh, thank you, Elon, for saving us. That's the kind of person people would blindly follow. Now, I'm not saying he's the Antichrist or anything. I'm just saying that be careful, right? Be careful who you idolize in this age. But what Elon Musk has done is just taken a little bit of the pressure off of the valve that has shut people up now for years. I mean, whether you like him or not, the former president of the United States shouldn't have been banned off of social media platforms. This is ridiculous. If we believe in free speech, and I know you'll get the, well, dude, it's a private company, man. They can do what they want. Okay, let's use that right now. Let's use it. It's a private company owned now by somebody who believes that speech is more important than your feelings. All right. So let's read this tweet by Gene Simmons. Fantastic news at the outset. Elon Musk is now the proud owner of Twitter. Free speech, important, but hate speech, newspeak. Okay, 1984. Go back, newspeak. Hate speech and factual misinformation, lies, should not be part of free speech, in my humble opinion. Good luck to Elon. Okay, so if somebody posts something, writes something that is a provable lie, it's demonstrated to be a lie, then more speech is the solution, not less speech, right? You don't ban that person's thought. You don't ban it. You say, dude, here's my opinion on this. This is why you're wrong. Let's have a debate. But see, from Gene Simmons, it's like, no, we need to shut it down. And by the way, what's hate speech? The founding fathers of this country used to debate in ways that would absolutely just make the little hairs on the back of your neck curl up and probably fall out, because they would insult each other in a way that quite frankly, even by today's standards, was pretty crazy, was pretty over the top. These were just personal insults. But free speech was necessary. People could just look at it and say, okay, this guy is just yelling, insulting this other person. He's not bringing any substance to the debate. All of what these people want to do with the banning of speech, all it's really designed to do is dumb down the population. So no longer are you to see these other objects. We are not going to allow you to view those things anymore. And we're going to shut you down if you keep talking. Hate speech, okay, is really in the eye of the beholder. When they say hate speech, they're basically saying, I don't like this speech. It's hateful. It's hateful, and it might even like expose us for our weaknesses. Hate speech is protected. Slurs of all kinds are protected under the First Amendment. And by the way, if those people show up on the scene, then more people need to show up and counter that and say, you're a hateful person. You shouldn't be saying these things, but I will fight for your right to say those things. All right. And this is where we get an honest, full conversation about issues. See, Gene Simmons doesn't understand free speech. And there's so many people today that have taken this sort of party line, this media line that lies and misinformation should even, and by the way, it's not misinformation. It's different information, right? You've declared it as, we could have fact checkers on either sides. And by the way, all these fact checker organizations are funded by corporations like BlackRock, okay, and pharmaceutical companies. And it's when you start digging to find out who's doing the fact checking, you find out these people are essentially opinion checking. They don't like this opinion, so they want it gone. They want it gotten rid of. And that's what they do. And they shame you. And this is the other new thing, like the doxing and the shaming, and you can't say these things and get away with it. We're going to make your life a living hell if you continue to say these things. And that's intimidation. And you want to talk about people being destroyed mentally and financially by what Gene Simmons is actually pretending, to kind of, he's pretending to kind of like, yeah, fantastic news. Elon's here. Okay. But, I don't believe, if I were Elon, I wouldn't allow any of this free speech to go on at Twitter. Really. They're also afraid that, the former president's going to come back, and then other people who've been banned are going to be able to share their opinions. And you just can't have that. We have done, and you've got another former president of the United States the other day talking about content moderation. This is their nice way of saying that we need to make sure that certain content isn't available for people to see. Now, here's a truth, okay? And this is true because when someone says to you, I don't want you to see what's over here, you're going to say to yourself, okay, well, why not? I want to see what's over there now. Now that you've told me I can't do it, I really want to go and see. What did this person just say on Twitter? I want to know. What got them banned off of Twitter? Please, I need to see this. What was so bad about it? So again, this idea, I really want to key on this idea of hate speech. It's Orwellian to say hate speech to somebody. Okay. Now, again, do I like it when people are insulted or they have an opinion about a topic that I think is a little harsh? Do I like it? Depends what it's about. We've had a recent debate, for instance, about protecting little kids and their innocence, protecting young children from stuff that their minds cannot process in fact, I would go a lot older. I would say pretty much through your teen years, your brain has not fully developed. And we're just going to allow people to plant seeds, more than seeds, big ideas and weird concepts. And now rather than focusing on math, science, reading. And I just don't know anymore what this has to do with education. This isn't education, it's propaganda, it's indoctrination. And if someone comes along and says, hey, this is a bad thing these people are doing, well, you're hateful. That's hate speech. And you throw your hands up in the air and you go, do you have kids? Do you care about your kids? Look, there are people who are in need of counseling. They have mental health issues. That's the way I look at it. And they don't understand that what they're doing might border on child abuse, right? And, you know, if you give me sodium pentothal, I'm probably going to be a little more explicit and vocal about what I think on this topic. But those people need help. But we're not, that's not even part of the conversation. It's, yes, you need to allow this because you're going to hurt these kids. No, the people who are putting this information in their brains, they're doing the damage to the kids, not the people who are trying to protect them from this stuff. It's not, does anybody want childhood innocence anymore? Wasn't that one of the best parts of your life, is when you didn't know and you didn't have a care and you could be a kid and you weren't being pressured into things that I don't even want to get into here. Just, I'm trying to avoid it because I don't even like thinking about it as a parent of an 8-year-old and other kids that grew up without the indoctrination. And so is it hate speech to want to protect those kids? By Gene Simmons standards, yes, it's hate speech. It's factual misinformation. And again, you're allowing the so-called experts, right, to determine what is okay, what is deemed as real information and not factual misinformation. If somebody presents data like they do a peer-reviewed study and they post it, and Twitter in the past has taken it down because it doesn't fit their narrative, and this happens all the time, that to me is the worst form of censorship imaginable, right? But the founding fathers of this country, when they designed the First Amendment, it was designed for the most egregious kind of speech imaginable. And if you want to call the people who can't handle this like snowflakes or whatever, I would add to that it's beyond that. It's whatever makes them uncomfortable shouldn't be allowed. They shouldn't have to look at it. And I remember back in the 1980s when the rock and rollers, right, had this little free speech movement thing that they were doing, people like Dee Snider and others who were sticking up for like 2 Live Crew or whatever it was. And they said, hey, you know, if you don't like 2 Live Crew, then don't listen to it. If you don't like this particular television programming with all of this stuff going on, then don't watch it. You know, and people used to argue, well, you know, my kids might have access to this stuff, and, you know, and there were some arguments, and I didn't necessarily agree with them that the stuff should be banned. But the people who were complaining were people, again, who were trying to keep innocence in the lives of their kids. And I, you know, as much as I agree with that, I never would have said, well, we need to ban 2 Live Crew, or we need to ban certain television shows. People always just say, if you don't like it, turn it off. So here's my advice to Gene Simmons. If you don't like Twitter, get off of Twitter. If you don't like seeing certain posts by certain people, then you can unfollow, block, do what you need to do. There are tools there to keep you in your safe little bubble, so you don't have to see the factual misinformation or the hate speech or whatever it is that you think is out there that's going to do damage to your brain or whoever, you know. We need more speech, not less speech. That is the solution to this problem: more speech and not less speech. So in any event, Gene Simmons, as usual, he's been on the wrong side of so many things, and it's depressing because I don't know. I think these people, once they become super celebrities, once they become like a brand unto themselves, right? They feel as though that they have a certain cachet, like they can just come along and, make these statements, and people are all like, oh, King Gene says hate speech is bad. And this sounds to me, it's like he's working for Facebook, for crying out loud, or Twitter before Elon bought it. It's like, we cannot have factual misinformation, and you're about to be fact checked by a large corporation with deep pockets and ties to so many nefarious things. But, hey, you've got to listen to us. You can't listen to the voice of reason, which is probably inside your head saying, this doesn't seem right. All I'm trying to do is protect my kids. All I'm trying to do is protect my health. All I'm trying to do is find out the truth about our government and what they're doing and what's happening, say, in a foreign country that most people can't even find on a map. So in any event, people, that's my video on the topic. One more time for this band, Fate. Check them out if you can. Maybe I'll put a link in the description as to where you can find this. Their album is called Follow No One. And I think they're on Gab. I think that's where these guys are located. I don't know if they're on Twitter or not. Maybe they'll go over to Twitter now that, things like this might be permitted. Follow No One by Fate. Independent music. And we need more of that too. More independent music and less corporate music that is chosen for the masses. We need stuff that people like on the merits, which would be kind of a throwback to, like the 70s or something, where you had FM album rock stations putting out the good stuff, and you can listen for yourself and say, yup, I like this. You don't have to program me. I hear the music and I like it. And see, everything ties together. That's the way the world has been working for quite some time. And George Orwell, he wrote all about these things, hate speech, newspeak, groupthink, double plus good, right? We're all supposed to just nod and say, double plus good. How are you today? Double plus good. All right, people, I've gone a little bit too long on this one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, Patreon for a measly $1 a month, and that helps the channel. It really does. We got to keep growing because you never know. One social media platform goes in the right direction. The other one might, compensate and go in the opposite direction of that. So we have to stay vigilant at all times.